All right, so you folks are here for a small claims case. Let me lay some ground rules for you. All right, first of all, small claims is different than what we call general civil. First of all, no attorneys are allowed at small claims. But more importantly for today's, right now where we're at is when I make a decision today, you're stuck with it. There's no appellate process to a small claims decision made by a judge. You understand that, ma'am? All right. Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And so you understand that? All right. And you're both okay going forward with that term? Okay. And you just gave me another one of my segues. So if you give me an answer, do a yes or a no, not a head shake or head nod, because I might catch it or I might not if I'm making notes, and it certainly won't record. If there's any evidence you want, visual evidence you want me to consider, pictures, documents, whatever, the way we're going to do that is first show it to the other side, give a copy of it to them if you've got an extra copy. We'll have a quick discussion whether or not there's any objection to me looking at it. If there are no objections, I'm going to look at it. If there's an objection, we'll work through that objection and then I'll decide whether or not I'm going to look at that evidence. Understood that? Understand that process? Are all of you possible witnesses today, or we got some people just here for moral support?
Yes.
Okay, well, I didn't think the little guy was going to testify. All right, so I might hear from all of you. So why don't all four of you raise your right hands? Do you folks swear, affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth today? Okay, hands down. Last thing is, you've got lots of time. All right, I'm not going to just give you, I'm not going to turn my time hourglass over and give you 2 minutes and say you're done. We're going to go back and forth. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anything you want to add? I'm going to go back and forth. You're going to walk out of here and you might be mad, but you're not going to feel like you didn't have a chance to tell me what you want to tell me. All right. I tell you that to tell you this. That means don't interrupt. If somebody's saying something and you want to correct it, don't interrupt. We're going to take turns. I'm the only one that gets to interrupt. And I'm going to tell you right now, I will interrupt you. It's just the way my head works. If one of you is saying something, telling me your story, and I have a question, I'm going to interrupt. I'm going to ask the question. Hopefully you're going to answer it. And then I'm going to start processing that new information as you continue with whatever you're trying to tell me. And I apologize up front because I know it's rude. It's just the way my head works best. And I think that does it all. Ma'am, you started the action, so this is your chance to explain to me why Mr. Ovancian owes you money and how much.
I rented a camper through Marketplace on Facebook, and it was $500 for 2 nights, but I had to give them $1,000 for a deposit.
Let me stop you. First interruption. When you say 500 for 2, 250 times 2 or 500 and 500 for $1,000 weekend?
No, 250 times 2.
I'm with you now. Go ahead.
And I signed everything. I gave him $1,000. I signed the contract.
Okay.
Which, by the way, it doesn't have anything. It's just doesn't have any writing on it other than signatures. And
Let me stop you. What do you mean by that? There's no language on the contract?
well, can I bring this up or?
Sure. I'm assuming you've got a copy of it. Okay. All right. Any objection if I look at it?
No.
Okay. All right. Ma'am, you can stay seated. That's why Joe's here. He can run paperwork. All right. So what are you giving me? Same contract with some addendums?
We both.
Okay. Okay.
Their signature and
Okay.
the whole line up in the control.
Okay. Go ahead, ma'am.
So everything was set to go. He was 2.5 hours late, but he delivered it.
He delivered it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just curious. How's that work? Like right to the campground you wanted to be at?
Yes.
Okay.
He got on the truck. He told my husband to abandon it because he wasn't good at it. So I'm assuming it might have been the first time writing it or something like that, but when he was showing him the ins and outs of it, and he plugged in the water to the unit, it broke off because he didn't have the right equipment to hook it up correctly.
Okay. When you say it broke off, what do you mean?
The water broke off from the side of the camper in his hand.
Okay, okay. Go ahead.
And, so we went the whole weekend without any water. We didn't have any, we did use the toilet, we flushed it with water. And, oh,
I've written, sir, I've written a statement of,
Okay, but you're not a party. She can call you as a witness, but you're not a party.
Mr. Kobayashi gave us a meeting time.
Okay, let me stop you. I don't do well when people read to me. I'm not an auditory learner. If you'd like me to read that, I got no problem with that as long as he doesn't have an objection to it. That's fine. Show that, Joe. Go ahead, take a look at it, see if you have any objections.
So,
Hold on. No objection, sir? No?
No.
Okay, all right, don't talk because I can't read and listen. Oh, and it's handwriting I can read.
my husband,
Hold on, ma'am. Let me read what you want me to read. Okay, I've read it. Go ahead.
so he initially broke the water into the camper and he's trying to make us pay for it out of our $500 deposit that we were told we would get back. And, these are the things that he needed to have to hook a camper up correctly to the water, and we didn't have any of them.
Okay.
Before it broke off the side of the
Let me stop you with the money. So how much money did you give him total?
$1,000.
Okay, so that was supposed to be 500 rental, 500 damage deposit, right?
2 days for 500 and then a 500.
Okay. Okay, so you're suing for $500 being the deposit that you want back.
Yeah, I mean, I could sue for more.
All right.
It's-
All right, anything else at this time? Okay.
So we did call him. Oh, yeah.
You realize you just told me no and kept talking, which is okay if you want to tell me more.
Yeah. He had put it on and made it like sort of work, and then it fell right off.
Right.
It was going underneath the camper. We called him and told him that, and he said he was gonna get somebody out, but nobody ever came. So basically, we were in a box with no water, no running water, and I really feel like we got the shaft.
Okay, all right. Nothing else at this time?
No,
All right. Sir, do you have any questions for Ms. Rose?
So when you claimed that the water was broken, you directly speaking very good.
did you listen?
No, I asked you directly.
I didn't know,
Okay.
but he was the one working with you.
Okay. Any other questions for the lady? Okay. Anything else at this point? Okay, your turn.
All right, so you know the contract we handed over there, that was both acknowledged and signed by the both of us. First of all, that amount she states 250 is incorrect. She signed it instead of 125, $500 deposit was signed. And if you read where I highlighted for you, that statement in regard to any damage being done to a brand new 2024 trailer that I purchased in May for my family. I chose to rent this unit out personally to folks when we're not using it. We're bringing a free camp a year family. I fully completely know how to hook up a trailer. Here's all the components. City water connection to make it complete. Followed through on everything that, Heidi claims that I didn't do. when we came to drop the trailer off, me, my fiance, and my daughter, who's actually in school right now, we were all in my truck. We met them over there, same plot that they picked out at KOA and Ypsilanti. And even detailed, I mean, I had the original Facebook ad that she responded to, nothing that would have been, you know, out of the ordinary, and I presented a contract that where we both signed and acknowledged this prior to doing any type of payment. Once the contract was signed, then the payment was rendered. Once the rental unit was set up, then the delivery was set up and followed through on. I guess that we hooked the trailer up, me, my fiance, and my daughter, made sure that all the water and everything was working. We backed it in, I pulled up the city water connection, hooked everything up I needed to make the water operative. Asked Chris to even come to the back of the trailer and validate. Hey, go inside, make sure that the toilet's running, make sure that the sink's running, make sure that you have running water. This is my witness, she was there throughout the whole thing, heard it all. I said to Chris, and at the back of the trailer, he did watch me hook up the water, where the, you know, taking something that may or may not have broken, that's the true issue, it's determining who broke it. I've got enough proof here that says otherwise, and also stated in my contract, it says I'm not held liable for any damage.
What, you're losing me. What proof do you have that showed you didn't break it?
Well, I have pictures after a letter from Chris talking about the water was broken. I have receipts of it having to be repaired at the unit. And it wasn't only the city water that was broken, it was the pipe work inside because the pressure
Hold on, pipe work inside the camper?
inside the camper had
Okay.
to be routed all the way out to the city connection on the outside of the unit there. It was actually broken. He didn't call me till 30 minutes after we left the site after hooking up the water, everything being operative, to tell me that it was broken. That's where the problem was. What he did in between all that, why didn't you validate water was operative at the sink, at the toilet, at the city water connection, and then claim that I broke it directly at the site? At that point in time, sir, I don't do business like that. I would have gladly gave the refund back. We would have discussed it and taken my unit away, but they would not. They can't. Matter of fact, he wrote me a letter stating when they exited the camper, where all the flange was in there. I didn't get anything but a broken flange. Therefore, why they had to replace it.
You're losing me. Flange. What's the flange?
The city water.
Okay.
So it hooks into it, all these components go on there, pressure regulator at the city water connection, a filter, make sure you get clean water. All this was operative before I left. I came back to this. They weren't even at the unit to discuss anything.
Look, hold on, you're talking too fast. You came back to this. You came back where? To the campsite?
Pick up my unit after
Okay.
10 years was done that they
Right.
paid for and signed
Right.
on the contract. Here's a letter that I came back to from
Okay.
Chris, not even paid.
Okay.
Chris stating the broken water connectors in the cabinet, we did not use to shower. When the toilet was used, it was flushed with water, which is fine. Doesn't have to have water to flush or to use the toilet if you needed it to. But the problem is there was no solids left in there. That's why I also had in there extra charges and fees on that, because I had to pay for septic to be done when his letter stated otherwise.
Okay.
So the fact of the matter is coming down to the conclusion of how did the city water get broken? If I have everything that says otherwise, he validated himself that it was operative and working, and we left. We went on about our weekend. They rented it, I think, the weekend after 4th of July. I even called my roadside service to try and get them out there for them, but they were so capacitated, I couldn't get them out there from everybody else that needed service. So I scheduled something with the place where I purchased my unit from after they rented, so they could assess, do the work that they needed to. And then I relayed this to Peggy and Chris. You know, they're kind of nasty because we originally started out on Facebook communicating. Then I'm getting contacted from him on her phone. Then I'm getting nasty emails about how I'm a scam, how problem is that the water was broken. Yes, we can both agree on it. I'm not gonna be blamed for something when I'm trying to do them a service for their stay. The fact of the matter is it's broken, it had to be fixed, and This was all after we left.
So on the contract, daily rate 125, weekly rate 100. What does that mean?
What is that?
Daily rate 125, weekly rate 100. What does
Yeah, something
rate mean?
changed. If they got like a 7-day week, I'll give them it for $700.
Okay.
Not $125 a day.
Okay. So how many days did they have it?
And then from the 12th to the 14th,
So you count that 3 days?
it would have started Friday through Sunday, 2 days.
Okay, so that's 250,
Yes.
right? And then, I'm trying to figure out why you charge them $1,000 because the math doesn't make sense to me on the contract. Total rental fee is $1,000, 500 of which is the deposit, right?
$80.
250 would be the rental rate, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 750. Where's the missing 250 at?
Here's the extras.
No, I'm on your contract.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to figure out why you have $1,000 on the contract.
You need to see the original act too, sir.
No, I need to see the contract. You signed a contract. You signed a contract because that was the terms of the agreement.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out why you're charging $1,000.
Here you go. Clear as day for you. Downloading fee, $80.
Where's that at on the contract?
That's right here. The end of the sheet.
Where's that at on the contract? I'm asking you, what paragraph?
This is all part of it. This is the end that she responded.
It's not part of it. This is the contract. If you have a written contract, this is the contract. That's advertisement.
Okay.
I'm just schooling you. You're in business. If you're going to have a written contract, the written contract better be inclusive.
Delivery fee, $100 base, and then $50 in my over.
Not in the contract.
Standards.
So I'm going to ask you one more time. How do you come up with $1,000?
Because
What's the 250 that's missing on this page?
$80. The cleaning fee, the dumping fee, and the delivery fee.
Give me the cleaning fees.
Dumping fee.
Dump, okay?
$45 for the cleaning fee.
Yep.
$100 for the dumping fee. Deposit for rental, $500 will be made up front to secure and hold the rental. Any damages incurred once checked back.
Okay, but you're still $125 short. 80, 45, and 100. No, that's 225, right?
I think she, yeah,
So you're $25 short,
$25?
right?
Okay. I did.
Okay. All right. So what damage did you keep? I mean, do you have some itemized parts list, labor? Okay.
Here's how it all began. I picked up the trailer. There's the letter. There's the pictures when I picked up the unit.
Okay. What I asked you for is your list of damages that you're trying to hold them responsible for. Okay. Show that to Miss Rose.
Oh, the septic too. Here's all the dumping that came out of the septic. You might show them this as well. I apologize.
Let me know if you have any objections to me looking at those documents.
I would like to say something.
No, that's not where we're at.
Actually,
Do you have any objections to me looking at those documents? Any objections? Ma'am? Thank you. Give me a chance to peruse. All right, if I'm reading this correctly, the general RV center total was 300.
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
It's all on that list. That's thing with my map is everything.
All right, so I think you made some reference to a comment about water lines inside the camper, not just out on the wall, on the exterior, but some kind of inside stuff damage.
So
Does that show up on the RV, the general RV thing?
it's the inspection that needed to be done and all that broken down. Yeah,
All right, hold on. I'm not seeing that in the paperwork you just submitted. I got a post-work customer approval, general RV. It shows city water flange black. The only thing I'm seeing charges for is the $200 for the flange and then $100 labor. I don't see anything in here about water lines.
Okay.
So I'm assuming there were no repairs made to the water lines.
Okay. If it's not on there,
Okay.
I have no idea why.
Okay.
I'll have to contact General Air.
Okay. Well, what was your understanding of what was done?
The water lines were replaced inside all the way up to the pump leading back out to the city water connection.
And any idea why?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Whatever they did, they had
All right.
inspection in there.
Is this the flange that is referred to in here, the $200 part?
Broke.
Okay.
Which, not having that part on there would make the water inoperative, but the water operated before we went. Validated.
Okay. Is this post repair or pre-repair?
That is pretty. I
Okay.
don't know if I have a photo. I can get a photo of it.
Oh.
Yeah, sure. Here too, going back on the conversation of all the extra fees and all that, the contract. It was explained to Peggy in her messages before we even signed the contract, what the extra fees were. She acknowledged it and then went on to go and sign the contract. From now on, I'll itemize those going to a contract because you are 100% correct. It should show it, but it shows it right here.
All right.
Numerous methods of contact that we had via email and Facebook Messenger.
Okay. So you haven't returned any of the $1,000, correct?
No,
Okay. And 500 of which was for the 2-night rental, correct?
for the website.
The rental.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the other 500 was,
Okay. But the rental's only $250. That's why, see, I'm having trouble with the math. She told me the rental rate was $500. Your contract says it was $250.
understood because the things that we were discussing in our messages about these extra fees and what.
The dump fee and the cleaning
It
fee.
was all acknowledged.
Okay.
It's right here.
Okay.
You want to read through these two? I asked her, Peggy, you understand what the contract states? Go ahead and sign it. Then you can follow up with the deposit. We'll go ahead and then schedule your lot rent. And then once you get that down, give me the place where you're going and I'll be.
Okay.
I helped save on my
Okay.
insurance by having other folks travel with my trailer to not damage it.
All right. So the 500 would be the 250 for the 2 nights
Yes,
plus all the incidentals.
yes,
All right. And then 300 for the general RV repair,
yes,
which leaves a balance of $200 of their money.
yes.
So you agree that you owe them $200?
No, I don't agree.
Well, what's that for?
What do you mean?
Why are you keeping the extra 200?
Well, when they started throwing around threats of going to court and driving by my house and taking pictures, yeah, I held on to their money and I would let it jump.
Okay.
Like you decide how we move forward.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
being called a scam, like I had asked this woman if she would come to help,
Okay.
you know, all hours of the night, you know,
Okay. Hold on. Hold on.
I'm not trying to be
Okay.
here. Oh my God, and I ultimately.
Okay. All right. So is there anything else you want me to consider at this point?
I mean, this whole file really, because kind of every question you've asked me is right here written leading up to, it was all stepped up.
Okay.
You know, and I keep track of that, but she was really the only one I got to talk to this year.
Well, I don't think she's disagreeing that the original rental rate was 500. So, I mean, that was the original testimony, correct? Okay. All right. So what we're talking about is the difference between that 5 and the 1,000 you paid. Right?
Right.
Okay. All right. All right. Do you have any questions for him?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. No. Listen closely. Do you have any questions for him? If you just want to tell me more about from your story, that's okay. But do you have any questions for him?
There.
All right, that's counterproductive. If that's the only question you've got, then what do you have to tell me that you want me to consider?
I heard him say he was gonna try to get somebody out there to fix it. And then he left, and we called him after that, because it fell right on him.
Right.
It was not hooked up properly. It didn't have the regulator and all that stuff. He broke it and he knows he broke it. With lying.
Okay.
Sir. May I add something?
Not unless she calls you as a witness.
I called him as a
You're not a party. You can ask him questions to elicit his testimony, but he's not going to sit there and tell me a story.
Well, I don't know what he wants to say, so I.
Anything else from you, sir?
I call my witness.
All right. You're under oath. Go ahead and ask your questions.
What's the water operated working before we left?
What's your name, ma'am? Last name? West, just like the direction? Okay. Anything else?
When we did leave, about how long after we left, a phone call from Chris claiming that the water was frozen and out of there.
But 30 minutes after we left, he said it broke out and it was, Chris said it fixed, but it wasn't broken. But he got it working, so it would be used. If we left, then it was broken. Then it wasn't working.
Okay, that confused me. Did you have trouble hooking it up?
At first, yeah, because I couldn't get the filter to adapt to it, and then I got the filter to work, and then Chris came around to the back of the trailer while I was hooking it up. And at the same time, I said, we should be good now, you mind going in the trailer and validating if it's working? Talking the sink and the toilet, that's it, the shower too. He ran all of them, she heard him from the vehicle say, yeah, it's working. How about the sink, Chris? Yeah, it's working. How about the toilet, Chris? Yeah, it's working. Okay, good.
Okay.
If you guys have any problems, give me a call. 30 minutes down the road, I get a call. The water's broken, Chris. And then I was all sorts of everything
Okay.
throughout the whole weekend.
Okay.
Even trying.
Did you go back?
Huh?
Did you go back when they called you?
Because we
Okay.
had a daughter that we.
Okay. Do you happen to have any pictures of the actual part so I know what broken is?
Let me see, this is the only component,
Because I'm not a camper. I have no idea what this hookup's supposed to look like.
the fix. And that would have been great with all these negative photos of everything. You mind if I look at my?
No. Or maybe you can just describe on your photo what's broken.
So where you see that flange broken off of there,
Hold on, I got to find that picture. I got it here somewhere. All right. Yeah, I'm looking at this big picture. What's broken?
so if you don't mind,
No.
we take this piece goes to the city water connection going into the trailer. This,
So that piece in your left hand screws into this thing. So the filter screws in here,
or you.
right?
That in.
And then that goes on the other end,
Filter light at front.
right?
Then this piece goes at the water connection. It's feeding the water.
Right.
To the trailer.
So something's broken here.
The piece still would attach this to it.
Okay.
And if this was part of it, take a garden hose and you attach this to it, that wouldn't attach to it.
Okay.
Therefore, the whole city water is just in out.
Right.
That's why I call.
So the piece that's broken, is that a piece that turns into this or it's an actual part of this that broke off?
Position that he's going on the inside. I mean, I'm an engineer at work. It's a crappy design, if you will.
All right. So there's supposed to be another piece that if this was a complete unbroken unit, I'd be looking at a totally different picture.
I mean, you know,
Correct?
yes.
Okay.
It gets pricey because that's how it goes. I mean, you can get them in brass.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with the model unit that I bought coming from the manufacturer, it's the design of like a two-piece. Picture the piece you have on the trailer and the one that broke off. This should have fed to something inside. Therefore, why I mentioned the lines had to be
Right.
replaced. Because in that is a water pump that inside the unit pumps all that water if the city water was operative and keeps me pressurized.
Right.
Water, stuff like that, you know.
Okay. All right.
This is my first time camping around.
Okay.
with a camper. I've only one my whole life too. So.
Okay. All right. Anything else from anybody?
I just wish I had the finalized picture for you again, so it wasn't a bunch of negative about that.
Gotcha.
It's pretty simple. Here we just need to get to a solution.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else from you? Go ahead.
Like the calling of the.
Okay. put your full name on the record, sir.
Christopher J. Roth.
Thank you. Go ahead.
How did she hear everything that was said when she was in the trunk?
That's not a question for your husband. That's a rhetorical question for me. Elicit some facts from your husband if you have them.
Terms of what's needed to hook up a camper properly, so that it will not do that if he had none.
Yes.
Can we show?
Sure. First show them to Mr. Havazian.
Dan, are they questioning each other? They can do that?
Yeah, just like you just did with your
I
wife.
thought they were questions directly.
No.
At first glance, this case appears routine, but it rapidly escalates into a high-stakes and emotionally charged courtroom scene. The judge attentively listens and observes before delivering a decisive ruling that alters the course of events. The tension is palpable as the proceedings advance. The defendant confronts a harsh reality, while the judge's statements resonate with authority and finality. Moments like these underscore the gravity of judicial proceedings, where every ruling carries significance. Continue watching to witness how the scenario develops and the implications of the ultimate decision.
See if you've got any objection to me looking at those photos, sir.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. What's the objection?
There's a pressure regulator.
What's the objection to the photo?
Oh, no.
Okay.
This is all part of the manual. Like, this is regular camping etiquette.
Okay. So you're okay with me looking at those photos?
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
Standard.
All right. Go ahead.
Well, he didn't have any of that. It was hooked up incorrectly by him. And he rigged it so it worked for a little bit, and when they left, it broke instantly.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh,
Do you have any questions for Ms. Rose?
Oh, yeah. Ms.
Go ahead.
Did you directly see me break one?
what my husband told me, he doesn't lie. He doesn't know.
Anything else?
There was another part she said, but I mean, every question on there
I know.
goes me on my feet. Like, so I agree. I'm gonna ask.
Okay. Yes. If she wants to question you,
I have the question.
you're not a party to the lawsuit. All right. I won't disagree.
What parts did he have and what parts did he not have to go to camp road? Record.
The 90-degree brass elbow in that picture would attach to the male water inlet on the side of the camper. And those are attached to keep there from being excessive pressure from the hose and the filter. It directs it in a 90 towards the ground.
Right. So the weight of the filter is not resting on the plastic. Right.
There's another piece that's about 6 inches long, and it has a spring. And you would hook that on next to the 90-degree brass elbow, and then to that attach your filter.
That's what you're calling the filter extension,
Yes.
right?
Then you would attach your water hose to that and run it to the city water valve. And on the city water valve, you would put a pressure regulator. Usually has a dial.
Right. Like this.
Yes.
Okay. I'm with you.
And then you connect your water to that, your hose line to that. And what that valve does, it keeps the water pressure from getting too high. That would keep from exploding the lines inside of the camper. Now, the way it was hooked up was the water line was hooked to the trailer. And then in line was the filter hooked up to the city water valve. There was no meter device for the valve.
So it was city water, hose, filter, camper.
Correct.
Okay.
no 90-degree brass adapter. So that caused excessive weight, the weight of the hose and the water in the hose to tear off that piece. Okay. Once that was broken off, it was unable to be used.
Okay.
Also, sir, if I may add, if there's water in the holding tank and the pump is on inside the camper, then yes, you will get water flowing from your tap. That's what I witnessed, was water flowing from the tap. I don't know if it was from pressurized water that came from the hose, or if there was water in the holding tank, fresh water in the freshwater tank.
All right.
Yes, that's what I said. Yes, it's working.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Sir, questions from Mr. Rose?
Yeah, Chris, how would you have saw any of the way that I hooked up anything if you were on the inside of the trailer? Tells me that the water was running.
I was on the outside when you attempted to hook it up and when the male adapter was broken on the camper.
Why didn't you directly take that up with me while we were standing there? Why did it take you
I
30
did.
minutes after we left and told me that the water was hooked up? That's cool that you brought all those photos to how to properly hook up the trailer. Well, can you efficiently tell me that I didn't hook it up when you were inside the trailer telling me that the water was operative and functioning at the toilet without the pump running?
All right, there's a long question there. Break them down. One question.
On the outside of the camper with you when you hooked up the water to the campers.
Tracy, where was Chris when?
Okay, are you done with Chris? Are you done with Chris?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Tracy, where was Chris when I asked him if the water was hooked up and operative? So again, if I may ask, how would
Who
you,
are you asking?
Chris,
Go ahead.
how would you be able to validate if I hooked up the water correctly with all the parts you showed and what I did and didn't have if you were inside the trailer and you were telling us? And again, going back to how the windows were open in the vehicle, everything, talking about. How did you know whether or not I hooked it up if you were inside the trailer right before we left, saying water in the bathroom ran, the toilet ran, and the sink ran fine? You did not address.
Okay, once again, that's a run-on. That's a run-on. So let me ask you this. Did you ever go out and check out the water hookup after you had no problems or had problems with water? Did you ever go outside the camper and look at what was going on?
I was outside the whole time.
Okay. Did you ever see this?
No.
Did you ever see this? The 90.
No.
That wasn't on the hose. That wasn't on the camper. That wasn't on the filter. All right. Anything else from you?
Yeah, do you have pictures of how it was hooked up? The toilet, what sink runs?
No, I didn't think I was going to need them. Thought we were.
All right. Anything else?
And again, when we left the trailer after hooking up the water, was it not operative at the sink, at the bathroom, at the shower, like you said?
After you attempted to make that repair, yes.
That's all my question.
Anything else? Ma'am? Anything else?
Feel like, we've been scammed. That's why I'm.
Okay. So you paid a filing fee to the court. Was it $35 or more than that?
This 35.
All right. Did you have any other out-of-pocket expenses?
My husband had just 2 days of work.
Yeah, that don't count.
Um,
Sucks, but it doesn't count.
she does because he doesn't get paid.
All right. Any other out-of-pockets?
$1,000. That's all I gave him. And then we were going to pay them.
Okay. All right. All right. Anything by way of closing argument?
If you don't mind, sir, it also states in the contract what was signed and acknowledged the heightened areas we breathing.
Particularly, what do you want me to look at?
Any damages, statement of.
Yep, I saw that. Anything else?
Your Honor.
Not you. Anything else? Yes. Anything else? Yeah, I've been here. I've been here. I've been listening. I understand that's your position. Anything else? All right. So small claims cases are civil. Civil cases are determined by a preponderance of the evidence. That means if it's a 51 to 49, the 51% wins. It's pretty clear to me that the way it was described is exactly what happened. You hooked up plastic to plastic with the weight of the water line and the hose on it. And it might have lasted for 30 minutes, but it didn't last for 2 days, and that was what the rental was. And the fact that your contract says they're responsible for damage certainly doesn't cover any damage that you are responsible for. I am awarding $535 to Ms. Rost.
Did you, Your Honor, you said you read the contract at the bottom there, it's highlighted about not being responsible for any of the fees that are in the contract or the damages incurred.
And I just explained, I'm not going to hold her responsible for damages to the trailer. That's your fault. And there's no judge anywhere that's going to enforce that kind of language in a contract when it's the contract drafter's fault that the damage occurred. You did the damage. You hooked up the trailer wrong and it broke. So you can go downstairs and in probably 5 to 10 minutes, we'll get a copy of that judgment for you. Have a nice afternoon.
The courtroom atmosphere intensifies as the defendant directs serious allegations toward her own legal counsel. She asserts that her rights and confidentiality were breached, and her emotionally charged declarations heighten the strain in the room. Speaking over the judge, the defendant fuels rising tension, prompting the judge to intervene decisively to restore order and uphold the integrity of the proceedings. Despite her repeated interruptions, the judge enforces compliance with courtroom protocol. This confrontation illustrates the conflict between emotional expression and judicial authority. Ultimately, the judge's composed yet firm intervention transforms the tone of the courtroom, emphasizing the weight of judicial control.